Thanks, Sujoy, for joining us for this interaction, and we believe this will make a lot of important contributions to those districts who are planning the Swachh Bharat Mission initiative as part of the SBM 2.0. Welcome to this talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Sujoy, you have been, leading a lot of initiatives for various states and also at the national level about bringing in the critical changes that is required for including the most marginalized sections in the Swachh Bharat mission. So, can you narrate some of the experiences of few districts or states wherein these were done successfully, and how they would have approached it, and what all are the things that the district authorities can learn from these initiatives for implementing the same or similar things in their districts.
So, as you know, the Swachh Bharat Mission Phase 1 guidelines had significant provisions for ensuring equity, both in terms of accessibility issues, uh, because of various kind of individual accessible issues that individuals might have, and also larger kind of social access issues in terms of economic status and social status and access to facilities. So the provisions were there prioritizing multiple categories. So if you had a woman-headed household, so you would have a priority. You'd also be eligible. One of the categories eligible for investment. I mean, for provision of the incentive of 12,000 rupees. But beyond that, even in prioritizing this particular incentive, people with economic and social disadvantaged status would get priority. However, in the rollout of the program, I feel this issue was not given the priority that it deserved, or the priority that the guideline wanted to give. All BPL households were eligible for the incentive. A portion of APL households were eligible, and those APL households which were eligible included SC/STs who were basically socially deprived, or people, marginal and small farmers who are economically disadvantaged, or woman-headed households. But the rollout, as I said, was an issue, and I don't think that prioritization happened to that extent. The other point which WaterAid was closely involved was to provide an impetus, as I said, for people with disabilities and households with persons of disabilities. But again, there, I think, as you know, WaterAid and UNICEF did some work together in Chhattisgarh, and maybe a bit in Jharkhand and a little bit in Assam. Not much has happened in this front, which is one of the initiatives which UNICEF is now really pushing. So I know you are asking for field experiences. I can give you a couple of experiences in Chhattisgarh where UNICEF consultants working at the field level have used manuals and books which have been made by WaterAid and other partners. State government has adopted to design toilets and to ensure accessibility. Our joint work there has been a significant, I think, push. We are now trying to pick it in Jharkhand. I had mentioned to you some time back that we are trying to work with Jharkhand. There is a recent initiative now in Orissa which we are trying to pick up. The issue I'd like to say that maybe we have not been able to advocate enough at the national level. And because of that, national advocacy with states has not happened from government side. So I think the ball is on us to really engage state governments to move in this direction. In this context, I'd like to mention the issue of hand washing with soap specifically because of the pandemic. So we have directly supported the setting up of around uh, 30,000 hand washing stations across India using funds from donors, and influenced a lot more through government. But there also the issue of accessibility is a question. Like how does a wheelchair access a hand washing station, or is the design friendly enough for that person to access. So those are the issues that we are looking at now, to modify handbooks, guidelines, designs to make it accessible. Especially, let me also flag that we have been working with Ministry of Education to help in the school opening initiative that is happening, and they're also looking at hand washing and sanitation facilities, and this time trying to push the issue of accessibility. So what I want to say is there are good practices. We have seen a few examples from Gujarat, but it is very isolated. It needs upscaling. It needs kind of documentation. As you were speaking some time back to me about the films you are trying to make, I think uh, it is very important that we make sure that whatever we are advocating and we are communicating looks at the issue of both accessibility as well as, and when I say accessibility, I mean all kinds. Is it physical, economic, social, and then also look at the climate resilient aspect. Just to give you an idea, UNICEF headquarters globally has decided that all UNICEF programming on WASH beginning next year will have to be climate resilient, and the controlling manager, like for example me or my country chief Nicholas, will have to provide a certificate to say that this partnership or this program is climate resilient. And that is not so easy, let me tell you, to do that, because we are not getting, as I mentioned, enough traction. So this is an area really that we need to look at.
Thanks for giving this overview of the importance of having inclusion, equity, both the social and economical kind of inclusion, and also accessibility in the sanitation thing, and also talking about the climate resilience, need of climate resilient kind of planning across. So these are quite important. Coming to the accessibility part, your role have been instrumental, and UNICEF role has been instrumental in getting that additional 5,000 rupees incentive in Jharkhand state. That is something, how Jharkhand has achieved will be quite useful for other districts and states to know, so that they can also think about bringing in additional resources for accessible sanitation.
Yes, actually, Jharkhand was a success story at the policy level. That is, I think, one of the positive stories of advocacy. However, I'd like to flag that it's one thing to have a policy at a state level. It is completely a different thing to actually get it rolled out at the state level. The fact is that this amount of 5,000 additional will be, would be used or will be used if the district administration or the Swachh Bharat mission at district level really knows what is the distribution, and where are the households where this should be used, and
Yeah.
then conveying the designs and the identifying every household with a disabled person, find out the extent of disability and the kind of disability,
Yeah.
and then make sure that the corrective design change is implemented in that house. So that rollout, I think we really have a lot to do, and we really have to engage partners who are working at the village level, who know how to do this. So it's a good start. I think maybe what we have managed to, what RAID also has managed to achieve in Chhattisgarh, and the policy budgeting that we managed to achieve in Jharkhand, if
Yeah.
both converge and a
Yeah.
rollout converges. Let me also say that we are also working with the government of Assam, and they have also, in principle, agreed this is something that they need to look at. It's a constant effort, and I think all of us need to keep on trying and pushing.
I also know that with the National, Disability Finance Corporation, there was some efforts that UNICEF, Water.org. I was also, as WaterAid, part of those discussions. Can you explain what is the scheme that the National Disability Finance Corporation is offering for the people with disability? If a collector knows about it, or a block development officer or a panchayat secretary knows about this, it may be useful for them to, for those families who can afford to repay the, financial assistance. Maybe these routes can also be used. Can you please detail what is that scheme?
Yes. So the agency you are actually talking about is called the National Handicapped Finance Development Corporation.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is a corporation of Government of India. Many states, I think all states have State Handicapped Finance Development Corporation. But the work of this corporation basically is to provide low cost finance to to handicapped persons across India to help them set up livelihoods. There is also an education component. I mean, there is also trainings which they carry out
yeah,
on giving skill development, inputs to individuals. Now, what we had tried to do is looking at the broad-based, outward focus nature of the Swachh Bharat mission was whether we can extend the work of this corporation to provide low cost financing to, first of all, the individual, and uh, broadening it from there to the household which has an handicapped person. And what we try to say is that can that corporation provide low cost financing for the building of wash facilities? So as you know, each household is eligible for this SBM incentive of 12,000 rupees. Now, many of the households have already claimed it and built a toilet, right? Most of the households. However, the issue of special, yeah, improved facilities which are accessible, which I mean for handicapped people, that has not been taken care of in most of the households. So the idea was to communicate with this corporation and say that can you reach out to those households which have got a handicapped person and give them a loan. It's not a grant, it's a loan, but at very low interest. And uh, that loan will help those households uh, build an improved facility which is accessible. There are many NGOs working across India which do this microfinance work for livelihood generation and capacity building. And Water.org is an agency which works with multiple, like for example, Dhan Foundation. Dhan
yeah,
Foundation is an agency which is working on the ground and they give microfinance loans. Now, usually, a microfinance loan comes at a cost around 18%, 19% an annum. Looking at the cost of finance and looking at the cost of microfinance institutions. However, because they have an outreach right at the village level through their NGO partners, etc., they are very much closely associated with local communities. Now, the idea was to get these agencies and club them with the Handicap Finance Corporation. So the expense of that loan comes down from 18, 19% to 4 or 5%. And around 15% of the cost is borne by the Handicap Finance Corporation. They have a provision for that. So this is something I thought was very interesting. So the household with a handicapped person gets loan at very low cost of interest with easy rates of repayment. It is co-funded by government, so there is no. I mean, the usual headache of a money lender is not there because it's not a financial institution who is asking your money back, and there is a link of capacity building and training. That was the idea to extend wash facilities to all such households. Uh, what has been the rollout? The rollout has not been very great, but there have been trials across some states, like Dhan Foundation, I know, has tried a few. And I think going forward, it is a good opportunity. The advantage with the National Handicap Finance Corporation is they can also give resources for research.
yeah,
Like, as you know, one of the issues is tools for the handicapped people.
yeah,
So if
yeah,
a handicapped person does not have hands, what
mm,
kind of tools can you give him to
yeah,
make his movement, his going to a wash facility much easier? whether it's a rod or it's a hook or whatever. So those researches also they can do. So I think this is the kind of convergence we all need to do as we go forward, for implementation.
Yeah. Thanks, Sujoy. You mentioned at the end, about the tools and assistive devices and the fittings that is needed. So I'm bringing in, the collectors are finding it difficult to get some of these products at the supply chain, specifically the fittings that is needed for making the toilets accessible. So what is the role of the social welfare department, who is in charge of implementing the National Disability Act? How can they come in this convergence with the social welfare department? How can they ensure that all the various accessibility aiding fittings and also the accessibility aiding assistive devices can be brought in and made available at the district level?
This is a very good kind of question. Um, uh, so there is an issue of convergence there. The Ministry of Social Welfare here in Delhi and the Department of Social Welfare in the state, I think, have a major role to play. However, maybe I feel that their outreach capacity needs to be strengthened. And I think because WASH is such a priority of government, both the Swachh Bharat mission and now the Jal Jeevan mission, I think it is a good opportunity for the WASH sector, both in government as well as partners like us, to really be proactive. Be proactive and reach out to the social welfare department. Just to give you an example, in 2016, UNICEF, I remember we have a child protection wing. They worked with an NGO out of Delhi to develop a, a manual for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment on facilities for handicapped people. It's a manual released by the ministry, and it has also got some inputs there. I never knew about it actually. I came to know about it a few months back. Somebody has to do the convergence, and I feel the Ministry of Social Justice does not have that much of a capacity to do that convergence. It is for us to do it, and maybe in states like Chhattisgarh, where some work has happened, and Jharkhand and Assam, we hope to do that convergence and going forward. Actually, Raman, one thing I'd want to mention, one of the issues is that whenever I speak to the Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation about the need of accessible sanitation, they always come back to me, and it seems to me that they have gone beyond the SBM 1 phase, like the ODF creation, facility creation phase of toilets, at least household toilets. They have gone beyond that, and they are looking more at SBM 2. So in a recent meeting, when I raised this issue of accessibility, they came back and they said that, fine, but give us inputs of accessibility in the 4 verticals that we are interested in now, like the fecal sludge and the grey water and the plastic waste and the bio waste. How can that become accessible? Well, they only agreed that yes, in fact, the community sanitary complexes, which they are now building in large numbers, I strongly requested them to at least make those accessible.
Yeah,
Even
definitely.
there, so there is plenty of advocacy to be done. Even the Jal Shakti is, I don't know if you know, what I'm told is they have already built around this year 86,000 CSCs under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana,
Yeah.
and other yojanas also, and SBM. 86 already done, and another, I think, 50,000 to be done. And none of these have ramps.
Yeah.
Very few of them have ramps, let me say. I will not say none, but I mean, this has to go as a priority to every collector or every SBM district. So one of the things I'll request you in the films that you are doing, do make a focus that all these facilities need to be accessible. I mean,
Right.
the doors have to be openable by a person who has not got hands. I mean, it's a
Right.
very small thing. But the thing is, the contractor or the panchayat sarpanch, he will not even imagine that he has to also ensure that somebody without hands needs to open
Yeah.
it. or a wheelchair needs to go in, or a person who's on crutches
Yeah.
needs to go in. So for us it may be obvious, but somehow there is a great lack of awareness in India. And I think social justice needs more support, let me put it that way. So it's
Right.
up to partners to push that agenda.
So, which other ministry, like the Panchayati Raj or the rural development, what can be their role in this, pushing the inclusion and equity issues in the community sanitary complexes? Since the SBM constructs it and the Panchayati Raj department maintains it, so how can we ensure, or a district collector ensure that accessibility is there in the building part and also in the operations maintenance part?
What I'd like to say, for the past year or so, we have been fortunate to be able to engage with Panchayati Raj. And you correctly said the entire SBM phase two, not phase one, because phase one was more on individual household toilets. Phase two has gone beyond the household level work. I mean, whether it's community toilets or whether it is the four verticals of SBM two, as I mentioned, plastic waste, FSM, grey water, and bio waste. This is more oriented towards a community kind of response. For this entire SBM phase two, the concept is that Jal Shakti public drinking water sanitation will build the infrastructure,
Yeah.
and they will immediately hand over to panchayats. The Jal Jeevan mission also says that we will build the infrastructure and most of it hand over to the panchayats. The problem in India is that the planning exercise in most places does not involve the panchayats. And
Right.
that's where a conflict always arises. But hopefully, with the focus on the village action plan concept in
Right.
both programs, there is a push that the village action planning process should happen. ISAs, as you know,
Yeah.
the
Implemented support agencies.
implementation support agencies, at least the Jal Jeevan portion is saying that we have to involve NGOs to help make the plan. And we are also pushing with the ministry to say that make sure that the SBM program also has a consult plan made through a consultative process. Or let us say at least that whatever is being done under SBM phase 2 should have the approval of the Gram Sabha. Let the Gram Sabha at least have a approval on the grey water or the fecal sludge or the retrofitting work or the CSE work that is going to happen. At least if you go to the Gram Sabha, the department will make an effort to explain to the Gram Sabha what it is all about. As I was saying, we have been engaging with Panchayati Raj, and we are seeing Panchayati Raj Ministry now beginning to assert their position. And this assertion, I think, has been helped a lot by the 15th Finance Commission grants.
Right.
As you know, last year, the interim report of the 15th Finance Commission said that 50% of the money is going to the panchayats at all levels will have to spend on wash. I was informed by Jal Shakti the other day that now the final report has come, and in the final report they have said from next year, 22, it is
Yeah.
60%. So
60%.
60% of the money is, so they have increased further. So I think what the Finance Commission has done, their feedback which they have received in the first year has been so overwhelmingly positive that they have decided to upgrade from 50 to 60. So that's a very positive thing, strengthening the role of the Gram Panchayat in the wash sector. Now, looking at that money, I in my interactions with the Ministry of Panchayati Raj officers, Secretary Mr. Sunil Kumar, extremely proactive, and Joint Secretary Mr. Kulwant Sethi, it seemed they have been quite concerned that the capacities of the panchayats to use that 60% for sanitation rural is 35,000 crores.
Yeah, 35,000 crore. Yeah, I know that.
Yes, which is as a whole very significant, as you might
Very
realize.
significant. Yeah, yeah.
It is reaching almost close to Manrega allotment. So it is also reaching close to So Jal Jeevan Mission has a 50,000 crore allotment this year. What I mean to say, there are monies, huge money there. So they have been very keen to assert. And let me just give you an update that they have, for the first time, they have agreed to work on service level benchmarking for rural wash.
Great.
Now,
Yeah.
this is one thing which we have been advocating with drinking water, not with much success. As you know, urban service level benchmarking is there. I think WaterAid also was involved in earlier
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah. You were part of it.
Yes, in urban service level benchmarking. Rural, somehow, this has not been a priority. But now I think the Ministry of Panchayati Raj is realizing that even the rural householder deserves quality service and deserves service of a minimum standard. And this benchmarking, we made a draft, we got inputs from your side and from other agency. We have given it to the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. They have shared it with Jal Shakti, and they are, I think, in almost the last stage of reaching that benchmarking. And that benchmarking looks at most of these issues of climate resilience, of services, and even of PWDs, and looks at MHM, menstrual hygiene management, and also looks at the professionalization of the sector. It
Right.
says that the panchayat should have a professional water service provider. And that I think will be a fundamental change from the way that we work now. That
Yeah.
if the PHED is giving water, it is just like the villagers should be happy about it. That is the attitude now.
Yeah.
I think that attitude needs to change, that it is the job of the provider to give it, give the service, and the people need to get good services and
Right.
sustained and quality services. So this is something we are looking at with Panchayati Raj. But let me also say that Panchayati Raj Ministry will not be able to do it alone. There will
That's
be need for partnerships right down to the district and the block. So NGO partners who can handhold the panchayat to give this service, that is where we really need to look at.
so. In that, one added question is, you know that there are 83,000 community sanitary complexes has already been built in many panchayats. So can the Panchayati Raj department, help the district collectors to use some of the 15th Finance Commission money grants for, retrofitting these community toilets to make them, what you call, accessible, and also to, at least have a gender neutral, compartment in between the male female side of it, so that even transgenders population can use it. Is there a way to do that?
Bhavan, you will be happy to know that the community sanitary complex campaign that started this financial year, in a big way. Some time back, the government had come to us to say that CSC monitoring can UNICEF try and help. So when we said monitoring, that was by the earlier government of India Secretary, Mr. Parmeshan Iyer. So at that time, the focus more was on construction to see whether it was being built on time. Design influencing, we tried to do at the state level. Like in Bihar and UP, we shared designs with the Panchayati Raj department of the state. So in UP, in many districts, this particular point that you mentioned about a kind of gender neutral facility unit within the CSC has been incorporated. Ramps have been done. So those have been done. But however, as and when this is now being handed over to the panchayat, we are seeing that there is a need for further repair. There is no question, and retrofitting. You are quite right. And there is also a need of a proper operation maintenance protocol to be
Right.
put in place. So, as you know, there is a partners group working on this community sanitary complex operation maintenance issue. Partners like IRC, WaterAid, Aga Khan Foundation, UNICEF, and others have come together to help prepare an operation and maintenance manual for use at the panchayat level. And we will be sharing that with the Gram Panchayat. And I think the idea that you have given, I think it's very pertinent, that we will try to make sure that that manual has a section in which we give panchayats inform a mission about uh, the kind of retrofitting they may need to do to make sure accessibility issues are covered, like building a ramp or making that doors accessible, or making one facility spacious enough for a person with uh, crutches or a wheelchair to turn, inside, and make an elevated seat for people who cannot squat toilet. So those kind of issues are essential, and I think we will incorporate that. And I think the Ministry of Panchayati Raj is really looking forward to this kind of inputs. Yes, something.
You are also
And
speaking
also
some.
on menstrual hygiene waste
Yeah.
management. Yes, which is very critical, because I think most villages will not have any independent facility for disposal of menstrual waste. So if the community sanitary complex can become a center for disposal of menstrual waste, it might encourage household women to bring their menstrual waste and dispose it in the facility. It's a huge advocate IEC issue also.
My last, set of questions are about usage and child feces management. Now, we have even the NSSO and the NFHS, all of them are suggesting almost a two-leap jump of coverage in the larger sense, and also usage is there. But, we have a gap to fill as far as this, national surveys are saying. So how can we, get the district level administration to look at promoting usage and make it 100% so that the ODF goals, although we are very close to achieve it, the last mile of it is something that we have to critically see. So how can the district administrations plan about it and reach there?
Exactly. So the NFHS 5 has now been released for 18 states and sub-union territories. So most of the states are around 80% or below, as you know the data. Some states are maybe of more concern, like Bihar, which is below 50%. I think the first part of the story is to work with the state governments to make them realize that this is a problem.
Yeah.
Most state governments realize that. Let me also say that my interaction with states, many or most of the states have really accepted this problem, that there are gaps, and they are trying to cover the gaps that exist. Now, as you know, that both these studies, this NFHS and SSO, were in the years 19, most of it in 19 actually.
Yeah.
So there has been LNOB, Leave No One Behind campaign from government.
Yeah.
Beyond that, so
Yeah.
I'm sincerely hoping that a gap that is being shown in the NFHS and NSSO reports, at least half of it would have been covered so far. But of course, in a state like Bihar, which is showing below 50, even if half of it is covered, there is still a massive gap. So realization and acceptance of this fact is something that we are working, and I think each partner needs to work in the areas they are working on. One of the issues is that I believe that the next step has to come from sustained interpersonal communication.
Right.
You will see that the broad-based mass campaign framework has really just petered out, even from government last year, 2019, and when India was achieving its 100% MIS access status, you saw a very big campaign from government, with many celebrities, Akshay Kumar's campaign, and everybody asking, building toilets. Since that has petered out, it has really gone on to a more IPC level work.
Right.
The role of Swachhagrahis or foot soldiers on sanitation becomes very critical. Now, last year, the government did a revision of their foot soldiers Swachhagrahi list, asked states to check the names, see the presence of them, those who were missing, weed them out, bring in new people, and make sure that they work. And most importantly, make sure that these foot soldiers or Swachhagrahis are paid for the work they have done. The results which I am aware of, are mixed. Just for your information, we did a study in Maharashtra. We have a system, UNICEF global system called Rapid Pro. This system is a software in which we have a database of phone numbers of frontline workers. So this, of course, we have now categorized it. We have panchayat representatives, we have frontline workers like Asha, Anganwadi workers, and then we have a database of Swachhagrahis, and we have a database of householders. So in Maharashtra, we helped with the government. We reached out to 55,000 people.
Right.
And we did this campaign. It's interesting, Raman, you might be interested to hear about it. A 3-month campaign, 12 weeks, in which every weekend we asked a set of 10 questions. 3 months, 12 weeks, 120 questions on WASH, on water, sanitation, hygiene, and various practices, delivery of services, role of panchayat. So out of the 55,000 respondents, around 30,000 average responded per, and this information was fed back to the government.
Right.
And the weak points and the gaps were very much highlighted. Why I am mentioning this is that many things came out of that. One of the gaps is that the missing Swachhagrahis
Hmm.
or the non-paid Swachhagrahis.
Right.
And he said that we have not been paid for 4 months. Now the question is, then we went back to the government and the additional chief secretary, who was the driving force behind this campaign, he took it very seriously. He has tried to put in a system where district CEOs, Zilla Panchayats, because in Maharashtra, Swachh Bharat Mission is run by the CEOs. CEOs,
Yeah.
Zilla Panchayats were really pulled up about why and how this system is not working. And if this is the case in Maharashtra, I think it will be more dire in many other states. You see, there is a trust deficit in our system.
Hmm.
Is that the CEO Zilla Panchayat is not confident that the person he is paying has
Hmm.
really done the work he is getting paid for.
Right.
Right. And because of this trust deficit, he hesitates to pay. So I spoke to a few CEOs Zilla Panchayats in Maharashtra, young IAS officers. I asked them, why is it that you have not paid your Swachhagrahi for 4 months? So she said that I get a list from a block
Hmm.
that I have got the 60 Swachhagrahis and I have to pay them 3,000 rupees a month for 4 months. The bill has come together. It's a big amount of money. And I am worried whether you understand that there could be
Yeah. Yeah.
financial irregularities there. So I hesitate to pay. I want to cross check. I will go and check a few. I will call a few. I will ask interviews. I said, but do you realize that when you don't pay a person who is unemployed for 4 months, how do you expect him or her to, keep on doing ITC work? So I think it is this kind of engagement, sensitivity, empathy, and this empathy, unfortunately, needs to be done through the hierarchy
Right.
with the BDO, with the CEO, with the collector, with the state secretaries, with the ministry. The ministry, now I understand they are asking questions about how many Swachhagrahis are being paid and not being paid.
Right.
But uh, this is something we really need to advocate. In
Yeah.
our states where we have got a good relationship with the state government, we really need to tell them that, guys, you need to pay, because without people on the ground, it's not going to work.
Yeah. So can I supplement with this particular thing? If you can develop a tool for the district CEOs or the collectors, whosoever is leading the campaign, and the block development officers, which actually is the set of very specific task for the Swachhagrahis of, say, meeting 100 families and doing interpersonal counseling and verifying how things are going on, and getting them into using of toilets, getting them proper management of child feces. So if those kinds of a reporting system has been developed, then will this help both for getting the work done and also for troubleshooting the payment for these people, so that this work can keep going?
I think, Raman, very good idea. You may know, Raman, in Madhya Pradesh, because you are also very active
Yeah.
in Madhya Pradesh,
Yeah.
when the SBM 1 was being rolled out, the government of Madhya Pradesh had an online payment reporting system.
Yeah.
If you remember, as soon as the incentive was being paid, it was being uploaded in a system directly. So
Yeah.
you and me and everybody could access and really see in real time whether they are being paid. I am told, if I am correct, you might know more than me, that Madhya Pradesh has developed a Swachhagrahi monitoring tool.
Yes, they have.
And maybe what we can do, Raman, UNICEF and WaterAid can get together
Right.
and try to develop on that tool and make it more exhaustive, in the sense that all the issues which are not there, The issues which you are mentioning, the issue of accessibility and the issue of reporting and how many households and whether each house, I mean, any household has a handicapped person and whether that can be reported. If we can develop something which is useful for the Swachhagrahi, I think it is a very useful kind of product, and we can work with Jal Shakti and Panchayati Raj trying to give them this product. So I'm happy to work with you on this, and maybe we can really think about it, learn from good practices that already exist in states and create a kind of national model. But what you have raised here, toilet use, it's not going to happen unless we have, see, you are basically a health person. I think the role of ASHA workers has changed the health rural scenario in India. Just if you imagine before ASHAs came, what was the rural health scenario? I think that has been a game changer. So I'm not a health person, so I do not detail, but you would know. I think for sanitation and water, we need an ASHA kind of person to make sure that the village level engagement and households with households is sustained. For example, I'll give you an example. I asked Mr. Bharatlal and colleagues that they are monitoring schemes. When I was in the ministry, we were also monitoring schemes. They are still monitoring schemes. I said, how do you confirm Lakshman Singh, who is a tribal person staying in the outskirts of some village there in Kaker district or Keshkal, how do you know he's getting water?
Right.
You are dependent on a junior engineer who will inform you that scheme is working. But Lakshman Singh Adivasi in Keshkal, the block or some whether he's getting water, you don't know. So where is your monitoring at household level? Is the tap getting the water or not? And they are not thinking of that. They are not thinking of that. And that is, I think, a weak point in the Jal Jeevan Mission. The focus is on building infrastructure. Let us build schemes. So I think that is a gap. I think we can engage in that one.
So one last question is, is there any specific state or any specific district that you want to mention wherein, in terms of inclusion and accessibility, in terms of toilet technologies, any of these, state or districts which, the other districts can look at and go there and try to understand? Is there any example that we can provide?
2-3 examples I will speak offhand. I'll start with Madhya Pradesh. So Madhya Pradesh, as you know, Indore is a place where Swachh Bharat Mission had achieved quite a lot of success, both in urban as well as rural. Indore. One place where, Raman, you may not know is Burhanpur. Burhanpur is an Adivasi tribal district of Madhya Pradesh, and we got plenty of traction in Burhanpur, and we did a bit of work on accessibility also. There are districts in Chhattisgarh which has picked up, especially as you know. So Chhattisgarh Rajnandgaon district is where we have worked. Dhamtari and Kaker is also where we have worked. I'll say Orissa. I'll mention Angul and Dhen Canal. Dhen Canal, we are also looking at accessible ODF plus verticals. So there, how to make accessible facilities for grey water and also looking at climate resilience, because Dhen Canal is also in that zone where you have climate issues. In West Bengal, I'll really say Malda. Malda is a district and accessibility border district. I will also request you to look at a district in Rajasthan where we have looked at dry toilets. When I say dry, I don't mean manual scavenging. I said non-manual scavenging dry. This is in Dungarpur and Udaipur, and now Bikaner. We're trying to work. So these are the few and in Gujarat, Narmada district. So these are the ones that I can mention. And you would possibly know a state that you can go to for SLWM works is on Sikkim. Sikkim has done quite a lot of work on handicapped issues, especially. They were already an ODF state long ago. So yes.
So we would require your support to connect some of the people who are behind these districts, the actual drivers of these districts, so that we can also talk to them and narrate the stories in these videos. So that is the next step.
Definitely. So in Bengal, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa,
Yeah.
I'll put you in contact with you know most of them, but I'll put you in contact with them. We are also extremely excited on the two initiatives we are carrying out with WaterAid.
Yeah.
Now, one is the global hand washing initiative and a country road
Yeah.
map that we are creating on hand washing. That is one. And we are really looking at making that to influence behavior in India. And secondly is this assessment to which we are doing with WaterAid. This
Yeah.
online phone assessment on wash services. Because
Yeah.
we were really looking forward for information on
Yeah.
that. And that has also plenty of questions on accessibility. So maybe
Definitely.
we really get to know about
Yes.
accessible sanitation
Yeah.
there.
Arundhati told about
And the role of Swachhagrahis actually.
yeah. Arundhati told about the meeting that you have.
Yes, so this is so a regional team has asked us. So I
Yeah.
said that fantastic, and we'd want to invite all of you. So we'll get to hear from other countries from the world about what they are doing. So it'll be
Yeah.
good to inform us on that.
Thank you.